My beloved child, someone special is about to show up in your life. There is something quietly shifting in your story right now, something gentle yet powerful that you may not fully see yet. You may have been going about your day carrying the same quiet questions in your heart, wondering if the waiting has meaning, wondering if the prayers you whispered when no one else was listening were ever truly heard. Listen carefully, my child, because if these words have found you at this exact moment, it may not be a coincidence. There are seasons in life when nothing seems to move, when days feel ordinary and hope feels fragile, yet beneath the surface something sacred is unfolding. My child, someone special is about to show up in your life, not by accident, not by chance, but through a path that has been quietly forming long before you realized it. Perhaps you have been through moments that made you question love, moments that made you guard your heart more carefully than before. Perhaps you have known disappointment, or silence where you once expected warmth. Yet I tell you this with compassion and truth, nothing in your story has been wasted. Every experience you have carried, every lesson you have learned, every tear you thought no one noticed has been part of shaping the heart you carry today. Before we continue, if this message is touching your heart right now, take a moment to comment, "Amen, I receive this message." If you appreciate faith-filled encouragement like this, gently press the like button and consider subscribing to this channel and turning on the notification bell so you can continue receiving messages of hope and reflection. And if this message moves you deeply and you feel a desire to support this channel, you may choose to send a super thanks as a simple gesture of appreciation, but please remember this is always completely voluntary and never required, and it is never connected to blessings, miracles, or spiritual outcomes. Your presence here is already meaningful. Now listen closely, my child, because something important is being revealed to your heart today. There are moments in life when you think the story has slowed down, when it feels like everyone else is moving forward while you remain in a season of waiting. But my child, waiting seasons are rarely empty. Often they are sacred spaces where quiet transformation takes place. While you wondered why certain doors closed, while you questioned why certain connections faded, your heart was being prepared in ways you could not yet understand. The truth is that deep and lasting love rarely appears when a heart is still wounded by yesterday. True love often arrives when healing has quietly begun to take root. My child, I have seen the nights when you reflected on the past and wondered if you could ever trust again. I have seen the moments when you questioned your worth, when you wondered if you were asking for too much simply by hoping for a love that is sincere and kind. But hear this clearly, my child, your desire for genuine love is not too much. Your heart was never meant to settle for something shallow or temporary. The person who is meant to enter your life will not arrive to confuse you, they will arrive to meet you where your growth has brought you. And perhaps you do not realize it yet, but just as your heart has been growing through quiet lessons, another heart somewhere in this world has been walking its own path of healing and understanding. Two journeys, two stories, two hearts learning patience, both shaped by experiences that are preparing them for a moment neither of them can fully predict. If you feel even a small sense of curiosity stirring in your heart right now, stay with this message a little longer, because sometimes the most meaningful realizations appear when you least expect them. My child, there were moments when you believed that love had passed you by. There were days when you saw others finding companionship and wondered if your path would always feel different. But you must understand something deeper about the nature of timing. Life is not simply about meeting people, it is about meeting them when your heart is ready to recognize what truly matters. If someone had entered your life years ago, before you learned the lessons you now carry, you might not have been able to receive the love that was meant for you. Sometimes what feels like delay is actually protection, and sometimes what feels like silence is the quiet space where wisdom grows. My child, your waiting season has meaning. Each day you have continued forward, even when you felt uncertain. You were becoming someone stronger, someone wiser, someone capable of offering and receiving love with deeper understanding. Somewhere beyond what you can currently see, another person has also been learning lessons that will one day align with yours. They too have experienced moments of reflection, moments that shaped their values and their understanding of what truly matters in a relationship. They may not know your name yet, just as you do not know theirs, but the paths that shape two lives can sometimes move quietly toward the same intersection. Stay with me for a moment longer, my child, because the next thought may bring a new perspective to your heart. Many people believe love appears suddenly, like a dramatic moment that changes everything overnight. But often the most meaningful connections enter life gently, almost quietly, like a sunrise that slowly brightens the sky. At first you may simply notice a sense of comfort, a conversation that feels easy, a presence that feels natural rather than forced. And slowly you begin to realize that something genuine is unfolding. My child, when someone truly aligned with your heart enters your life, it will not feel like chaos, it will feel like peace. It will feel like two people who have learned enough about themselves to appreciate each other without losing their own identity. And this is why the journey you have walked matters so much. Every moment of growth has been preparing you to recognize the difference between attention and genuine connection, between temporary excitement and lasting care. If your heart has been quietly wondering whether love still has a place in your story, remain here with this message, because there is more you need to hear. My child, someone special is not meant to appear simply to fill an empty space in your life. They will appear when your life already holds meaning, when your heart has rediscovered its own strength. True companionship grows when two individuals bring their own wholeness into the connection. That is why the seasons of reflection you have experienced are so important. They were never punishment, they were preparation. And as your journey continues forward, there may come a moment when a new presence enters your life in a way that feels unexpectedly natural. It may begin with something simple, a shared conversation, a moment of understanding, a feeling that your thoughts are truly being heard. At first it may feel small, but over time you will begin to recognize something deeper. And when that moment arrives, you may suddenly understand that the waiting, the healing, the growth, all of it was leading toward a connection that could only appear once both hearts were ready to meet it. My child, there is something important I want you to understand as you continue listening to these words. The arrival of someone special in your life is not simply about romance or companionship, it is about the meeting of two stories that have both traveled through their own valleys and lessons. Often when people imagine love, they imagine perfect timing, perfect circumstances, and a perfect version of themselves. But life rarely unfolds that way. Instead, it prepares hearts quietly, slowly, and sometimes through experiences that feel confusing while they are happening. You may have asked yourself many times why certain relationships did not last, why some people walked away when you were ready to give your best. You may have wondered why moments that once felt promising eventually faded into memories. My child, listen carefully, because there is wisdom hidden inside those experiences. Sometimes a connection ends not because you were unworthy of love, but because that connection was never meant to carry you into the next chapter of your life. It was only meant to teach you something about yourself, about what your heart truly needs, and about the kind of love that will actually nurture your spirit instead of exhausting it. Nothing that happened in your past was meaningless. Even the moments that made you question your path were shaping your understanding of what genuine care feels like. Somewhere along the way, your heart began to change. You became more aware of what truly matters in a relationship. You started valuing peace more than drama, sincerity more than promises, presence more than words. And my child, these quiet shifts within you are not random. They are signs that you have been growing into a deeper understanding of love. Stay with me for a moment longer, because there is something meaningful unfolding in this message that you may not want to miss. While you have been learning these lessons, somewhere else another person has also been walking through their own season of reflection. They may have experienced heartbreak that taught them humility. They may have faced disappointment that helped them understand the value of honesty. They may have spent time alone learning how to appreciate life without depending on someone else to complete them. Just like you, their heart has been slowly transforming through experiences that shaped their character. And although neither of you could see it happening, both journeys have been quietly moving forward at the same time. My child, life often works in ways that are far more intricate than we can understand in a single moment. Paths that seem completely unrelated today can slowly move closer together through choices, growth, and timing. Two people may live in different places, follow different routines, and face different challenges, yet still be moving toward a moment when their lives cross in a meaningful way. You may think that your story has been moving slowly, but sometimes slow paths are the ones that lead to the most meaningful destinations. My child, there were days when you doubted whether anyone would truly understand you. There were moments when you felt that your heart had become too cautious, too protective after everything it had experienced. You may have even wondered if you had become too used to being independent, too comfortable with solitude to ever open your heart again. But independence does not close the door to love, it prepares you for a healthier version of it. When you learn to stand firmly on your own, you no longer seek someone to rescue you. Instead, you welcome someone who walks beside you with respect and understanding. And that kind of connection is far stronger than anything built on desperation or fear. If this thought is stirring something inside you right now, remain here with this message, because the next reflection may help you see your journey in a new light. My child, when someone truly meant for your life begins to appear, the experience often feels different from what you expected. It does not always arrive with grand dramatic moments. Instead, it may begin quietly, with a sense of familiarity that is difficult to explain. You may find yourself speaking openly without feeling judged. You may notice that conversations flow naturally instead of feeling forced. There may be a calmness in their presence that gently lowers the walls your heart built for protection. These are the subtle signs that something genuine may be forming. True connection often grows slowly because it is rooted in understanding rather than excitement alone. And my child, when love grows from understanding, it becomes something steady, something capable of lasting through the changing seasons of life. You might be wondering when this moment will happen, or how you will recognize it when it arrives. But here is something important to remember. The right connection rarely requires you to chase it or prove your worth. Instead, it unfolds through mutual effort, mutual respect, and shared sincerity. The person who enters your life at the right time will not make you question your value. They will appreciate the person you have become through every lesson you have lived. And you, in return, will see the strength and growth within them as well. This is how two hearts begin to build something meaningful together, not through perfection, but through authenticity. My child, if you have ever felt discouraged about your journey in love, I want you to hear this clearly. Your story is still unfolding. The chapters you have already lived were not the end of your path. They were the preparation for a new chapter that will only make sense when the right moment arrives. Stay here with these words for a little longer, because there is still something important I want to share with you. The arrival of someone special is not only about meeting a new person, it is about recognizing how much you have grown along the way. One day you may look back at the seasons that once felt lonely and realize they were actually teaching you how to understand yourself more deeply. You learned how to care for your own heart, how to protect your peace, and how to recognize the difference between attention and genuine care. Those lessons are not small things, my child. They are the foundation of a relationship that can truly thrive. When two people who have learned these lessons come together, their connection is built on awareness rather than illusion. They respect each other's individuality. They support each other's dreams. They encourage growth rather than controlling it. And that kind of partnership has the strength to endure challenges while still protecting the joy within it. My child, somewhere ahead of you there may be a moment that feels ordinary on the surface but carries deeper meaning than you realize at first. It could be a conversation, a meeting, or a situation that brings two paths into the same space. In that moment you may not immediately recognize how significant it is. But slowly, as days pass and understanding grows, you may begin to notice that something different is unfolding. A connection that feels balanced. A presence that feels genuine. A companionship that feels peaceful instead of confusing. And when you recognize that feeling, you may finally understand why the waiting seasons were necessary. They were guiding you toward a love that does not rush, does not manipulate, and does not disappear when life becomes difficult. My child, if you feel hope quietly returning to your heart while listening to this message, continue listening closely, because the next reflection may reveal something that will change the way you see your future. My child, as you continue to listen, allow your heart to slow down for a moment and truly absorb what is being revealed to you. The journey that has brought you here has not been random, and the feelings you have carried in your heart were never meaningless. There were times when you wondered if your story had lost its direction, times when silence surrounded your prayers and you questioned whether anything was truly changing. Yet I want you to understand something gentle but powerful today. Growth often happens in places where no one else can see it. Just as a seed develops quietly beneath the soil long before it appears above the ground, the transformation within your heart has been taking place in ways that were invisible to you at the time. You were learning patience when you thought nothing was happening. You were learning resilience when you believed your heart was simply enduring another difficult chapter. And you were learning self-respect in moments when you chose to walk away from connections that could not honor your spirit. My child, these lessons were shaping you into someone capable of receiving a deeper kind of love, a love built not on illusion but on genuine understanding. Stay with me carefully for a little while longer, because something meaningful is unfolding in these words, and sometimes the message that reaches you today becomes the realization that guides your tomorrow. There is a quiet truth about relationships that many people do not recognize until later in life. Two hearts rarely meet at the right time until both have experienced enough life to understand what truly matters. In earlier seasons people often seek excitement, attention, or validation, believing those things will satisfy the longing within them. But as time passes and experiences shape the heart, the desire begins to change. A mature heart begins to seek peace, sincerity, and emotional safety rather than temporary excitement. My child, this shift within you has been one of the most important transformations of your journey. The love that will eventually enter your life is not meant to distract you from who you are, it is meant to complement the person you have become. And somewhere beyond what you can see today, another soul has also been growing into that same understanding. They too have walked through moments that reshaped their perspective. They have experienced situations that taught them the difference between attention and true presence, between affection and commitment. They may have also asked themselves questions about love, about trust, about whether genuine companionship still exists in a world that often feels uncertain. Without realizing it, their heart has been preparing in ways similar to your own. If this thought is beginning to stir something hopeful inside you, remain here with this message a little longer, because the next reflection may help you see how beautifully life can align two journeys. My child, Sometimes people imagine that destiny works through dramatic events, sudden encounters, or extraordinary circumstances. Yet many of life's most meaningful connections begin in the most ordinary ways. A conversation that feels unexpectedly natural, a moment of shared laughter, a situation that brings two people together without either of them planning it. In the beginning it may feel simple, even small, but genuine connections often grow quietly before revealing their deeper significance. The person who eventually becomes important in your life may not appear exactly the way you once imagined. They may come into your world during a routine day, through a simple interaction, or through circumstances that seem ordinary at first. But as time passes, you may begin to notice something different about the way you feel in their presence. Your thoughts feel lighter. Your words feel easier. Your heart feels calm rather than guarded. These are the quiet signs that a meaningful bond is beginning to form. My child, real love rarely demands that you become someone else. Instead, it invites you to be more fully yourself. It allows your voice to be heard without fear. It allows your heart to open without pressure. And when you experience that kind of acceptance, something inside you begins to relax in a way it may not have felt for a long time. You may remember the past moments when relationships felt uncertain, when you had to question whether someone truly cared or whether their words matched their actions. Those experiences taught you caution, but they also gave you wisdom. Because when the right person begins to appear in your life, the difference will be noticeable. Their presence will not leave you confused about where you stand. Instead, their consistency will slowly build trust. If you feel your attention drifting, gently bring it back to this message, my child, because there is still something important your heart needs to hear before this reflection ends. The arrival of someone special does not erase the life you lived before them, but it does bring a new perspective to it. One day you may look back at your journey and realize that the seasons you once called lonely were actually periods of preparation. They gave you time to rediscover your own worth, to understand your emotional needs, and to build a life that reflects your values. By the time the right connection begins to grow, you will not be searching for someone to fill an emptiness. Instead, you will already be living with purpose, and that shared sense of purpose will become the foundation of the relationship itself. This is why patience has been such an important part of your journey. Patience allows the heart to mature. It allows clarity to replace confusion. And it allows two lives to move gradually toward a meeting point where both individuals are ready to build something meaningful together. My child, somewhere ahead of you there may be a moment when everything begins to make sense. Not because life suddenly becomes perfect, but because you realize that your story has been guiding you toward growth all along. In that moment you may understand why certain doors closed and why certain paths ended when they did. You may recognize that if those chapters had continued, they might have prevented you from reaching the place where you stand today. And in that understanding, something powerful begins to unfold within your heart. Hope returns, not as a fragile wish, but as a quiet confidence that your future still holds meaningful experiences. My child, the love that is meant for your life will not arrive to disrupt your peace. It will arrive to share it. It will grow through patience, communication, and mutual respect. And when you begin to notice those qualities appearing in someone's actions, you may feel something within you gently whisper that this connection is different. That whisper is not urgency or pressure, it is recognition. Recognition of the growth within you and recognition of the sincerity within the other person. If your heart has carried questions about whether love will ever find its way back into your life, keep listening carefully, because the next reflection will reveal the final and most meaningful insight about why your waiting season has mattered more than you realized. My beloved child, as these final reflections settle gently into your heart, I want you to pause for a moment and breathe in the quiet truth that has been unfolding throughout this message. Your story has never been standing still, even during the moments when it felt that way. Every season you walked through, every lesson that reshaped your perspective, every moment when you chose to keep moving forward even when you felt uncertain, all of it has been guiding you toward the person you are becoming today. And the person you are becoming is capable of receiving a love that is calmer, deeper, and more genuine than anything you may have experienced before. My child, sometimes people believe they must search endlessly for the right person, chasing the idea of love as if it were something distant and difficult to reach. But often the most meaningful connections appear when a heart has finally stopped chasing and started understanding itself. When you reach a place where your peace matters more than temporary attention, when you recognize your own worth without needing someone else to confirm it, something quietly shifts inside you. You begin to live with clarity instead of doubt, and that clarity naturally draws people who respect the same values. This is why your waiting season has been so meaningful, even when it felt difficult. It was teaching you how to recognize sincerity when it appears, how to appreciate kindness without questioning it, and how to build connections that grow from mutual respect instead of uncertainty. My child, the person who may soon enter your life is not meant to replace the journey you have walked. They are meant to meet you where that journey has brought you. They will see the strength you developed through your experiences, the compassion that grew within your heart, and the wisdom you gained from every lesson along the way. And you will see those same qualities reflected in them as well. This is how two hearts begin to build something meaningful together, not by forgetting the past, but by understanding how the past prepared them for a healthier future. You may not know when or where this connection will begin, but trust that life has a way of aligning moments in ways that are far more thoughtful than they appear at first. One ordinary day may quietly become the beginning of something beautiful. A conversation may open a door to understanding. A shared moment may reveal a connection that grows stronger with time. And when that moment arrives, you may suddenly realize that your waiting was not emptiness, it was preparation for a love that arrives with peace instead of confusion. My child, do not let past disappointments convince you that your story has already been written. Your journey is still unfolding, and there are chapters ahead of you that you cannot yet imagine. The love that belongs in your life will not ask you to abandon who you are. Instead, it will encourage you to continue growing, continue dreaming, and continue building a life that reflects the goodness within your heart. When two people who understand this come together, their connection becomes something steady and meaningful, something capable of lasting through the changing seasons of life. So release the quiet fears that sometimes whisper that your moment has passed. Your path is still moving forward. Your hopes have not been forgotten. And somewhere within the unfolding days ahead, someone special may step into your life in a way that feels natural, peaceful, and sincere. When that moment comes, you will understand that every step you walked, every lesson you learned, and every prayer you carried in silence was guiding you toward a connection that arrives not by accident, but at the moment when your heart is truly ready to receive it. Type Amen.